Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Mortgage Heroes Weekly Podcast. I'm Andy.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Will.
And this week, Brian is going to lead the show. He's got another amazing case study to share with us that we want to share with you about another success story in real estate happening right now. And the reason we're talking about these so much right now is because of all these headlines that are like fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Last week, you talked about making a no FUD icon, graphic, no FUD. And I don't know if you guys saw or not, but I went in and I put a comment on one of the videos, and I was like, hey, someone should really change the TLC song, I don't want no scrubs, to I don't want no FUD.
I don't want no FUD.
Let's see if someone on the internet will do it for me. I don't know.
Yeah, this is definitely a story of fear, uncertainty, doubt, and overcoming obstacles.
Wow.
You know, and I actually like that we're going in a different direction. I know that everybody gets tired of, finding what's happening in the market, what's going to happen, et cetera. Listen, we still have the same federal chairman, Uncle Powell right there. Nothing's going to change. We already know that. So until he's out in the spring, then we'll start seeing where rates start going. So in the meantime, I think it's good for us to actually be discussing like true transactions that are, people who are in the trenches, people who had the whole FUD mentality, and now they got out of that. And I'm just glad that we're talking about this, because it really gets people to think like they're overthinking it until they come or they get the proper advice. It's like, why the hell was I over fudding it?
Yeah.
I found myself yesterday, guys, talking with someone in a conversation about this and how people who are willing to kind of like shape their personal experience connected to this fear, uncertainty, and doubt might be missing out on opportunities they could be taking. And my argument was like, look, if all of that were true, why are people still listing homes and buying homes and investing in real estate? Everyone can't be wrong, and everyone can't be like frothy. Like when the market's frothy, it's like a term everyone uses, like, oh, it's just a little too hot. Like we're way overextended here and there, over leveraged, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, then all these people were long-term, maybe historically they're going to be wrong. But right now, the people who are not letting these things stand in the way are impervious to those things negatively influencing their outcome of being a homeowner.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Andy. I mean, it just brings you back to, when you say that, it reminds me of my grandkids. When they first start walking, they have FUD. They have that fear of what they think they're going to fall and it's going to hurt. And it's not until they start gaining that confidence. And then once they learn that they can take those first steps, they're like, whoa, those are aha moments. I can get to my destination a lot faster. And so they kind of overcome that, and it takes them to the next level, and it just becomes that with any business, anything we do. When I first became an entrepreneur, at the age of 19, I had FUD, but then you get used to certain things, and it just, here we go, I'm going to give up my age here, but so many years later, like I'm still self-employed. I've never relied on an actual monthly paycheck.
Yeah, fixed
and
income.
So for me, people who do have fixed incomes and want to get and create this generational wealth, well, what a way to discuss this so that we can open these opportunities for others.
Yeah, and I think, one of the things I've learned is that our mind is like a garden, and we either plant negativity or positivity. And then that translates into what your mindset is, and then that goes into what your decisions are. And I feel that, a lot of people, if you're able to just change that thought initially and what you plant in your head, a lot of your mindset and your decisions will change. And I think that's exactly why we're sharing these type of stories, because they do have that framework of like, hey, I couldn't do this. I have this doubt about this. There's uncertainty here. But once you really identify the issue, when you really get down to the root of things and you really see things clearly, you're able to see that there's a lot more solutions and there's a lot more ways to getting where you want to go without having to, make your mind all foggy, doom and gloomy.
That's awesome. That's a good way.
Yeah.
I like that. The co-garden.
Yeah.
You got to plant your own garden. And,
100%.
So I like that.
Yeah. And, to start it off, it's another VA success story. I want to give a big shout out to Colin and Rosa. Thank you so much for entrusting us from the first time we met you guys at that networking event. Shouts out Andrew Greer. And it was just, a great experience to be able to see it full circle. I remember when we initially met, he was in his exploration stage where he's trying to get as much information to see what decision he wants to make, whether it was utilize his VA loan, go into the investment world, or just come up with the plan. Luckily, we were able to connect that one Thursday at that networking event. He shared with us his goals, what he was looking to do, and at that time, he wasn't yet married. So this was maybe about 2 months ago. He wasn't yet married. He knew he had the VA loan. His wife was working on getting their income higher. She had just taken a position at Sharp. She's been a nurse. And yesterday I had the opportunity to give him a call, and I say, hey, Colin, we're going to have a podcast. I really want to highlight your story because I feel like there's a lot of substance there. There's a lot of, good information that people could take from. And I had some questions that, I asked him. They came straight from his words, and I really wanted to share those with everybody because I know that somewhere out there's people going through this exact same situation. And if these words could change anything in your mind and your decision making, then that's exactly the purpose we're doing this.
Damn, that's pretty cool, Brian. I'm glad that you bring up Andrew Gear. I was like, where are we going with this? But Andrew Gear, he's always putting these mastermind groups together, and he's always just providing all this value. And so I love going to this because you never know who you're going to meet. And, it just takes one person to start changing your life or your thoughts and planting those better plants in your garden. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
And I love that how you put that in there. But, that's that going through this. Now I understand where we're going with this. So I appreciate you sharing that and clarifying it.
Yeah. So the first question I asked him was, what challenges were you facing when you were trying to buy a house? Colin initially had several concerns about buying a house. And first of all, the first one was he was still in college. He had just retired. He's still in college. And, he has that to juggle. And then on top of that, they have a young son as well. So he has a toddler. He's in college. He's working full time. But he also had doubts on his income and his employment history. He wasn't sure of what he was doing currently. He's in the service industry. If that was going to be able to, be utilized to get approved for a home purchase. Yeah. At the same time, his wife recently started working at Sharp, which became a key factor in strengthening their income. And truthfully, before coming to me, Colin spoke with other lenders.
Yeah, of course.
He was shopping around, initially trying to, his wife said, I want to work with the best lender. That's literally what she said when, she met with Xavier, met with me. She's like, I want to work with the best lender. They looked up, San Diego. There's plenty of lenders.
Absolutely.
So
there's Will.
There's Brian, then there's Will. But before coming to me, other lenders were giving him negative feedback. And he's like already doubting, having the thoughts of like, hey, this is not going to be what I thought it was going to be. He expressed doubts about his ability to qualify due to his work history after leaving the military. That was one of his biggest concerns. So, time and time he was talking to other lenders. They didn't really give him, positive feedback. They kind of, shot him down, didn't really communicate with them. So, finally they got married just last Friday. Gotcha. Congratulations, guys. Yeah. That's so exciting. I'm so happy for you guys.
But then let me ask you this. So they're going, and how old is he? So you're talking about college. He's getting out of
so he was born
military.
2021. I think he's 24.
Okay.
Yeah, 24. Cool. And she's 26.
Got it.
She's a little bit older.
Yeah.
So she's 1996. He's 2001. So
got it. Yeah, I'm just thinking like, hey, they're going to college. Did he just get out of college, and then how he's in the military? So actually, that's really pretty cool, man. So right after college, he decided to go into the military.
No, right after the military, he decided to go to college.
God, it's the other way around.
And he's still working full time. Has a kid, and that's basically where a lot of their stress was coming from. But basically, when it came down to getting them approved this last week, when I reviewed his file, I noticed that no one had actually taken the proper time to organize his documentation, really put the piece of the story together, really try to see, where everything lines up. And after digging into the file, structuring it correctly, I was able to get a clear picture of, what he's been doing. His history has plenty of history in the service industry, so we were able to match the 2-year history, even outside of the military when he was done. So that all checked out. And for me, the biggest thing was actually giving him clarity and actually letting him know exactly what he was able to do, where he was at, whereas he's still talking to other lenders that are still trying to go back and forth and trying to get him his approval.
And the reason why I wanted to bring up the age too, Brian, is because a lot of times we stereotype, right? Even though we don't mean to, but we see that they're young. So knowing that they're going to buy in San Diego, which is very expensive, and we already know the average cost of a home here in San Diego, I believe, has gone up to $1.020 million, which is pretty crazy, And so when you look at that, it's like, well, are they going to even qualify? Like, the norm is probably they need to be older because now their income is much more, and so you kind of right?
Luckily, they had phenomenal credit as well, like 740 plus.
Yeah, and I want to
Like,
point out
jeez.
in case you haven't like picked up on it, and this might be like Captain Obvious, but like this is that exact thing we talk about all the time. It's like you need to come in and ask the questions and go through the process and find out what you can and you can't do, because you can very easily look at roadblocks that you think might be working against you and they just aren't, because it's something we heard or we saw that, oh, well, I think I can't because of this, and maybe there's no barrier there at all. But you don't know that unless you start coming and asking questions.
Yeah.
And age, I think, is one of those roadblocks. How
Yeah, well,
we look at
age, years of experience, type of work. I think people they have these scales on their eyes, and it's like, hey, hold on, all those things aren't blocking you from actually getting in. You know that, right? And it's over a simplification of the steps in the process, but I'm emphasizing it just because I hear you guys say this to people. I just hear it enough, and it's like it's worthy of being on the show and talking about this in detail, because this is someone else that's watching this that has said to themselves, I don't know that I can, or probably because of this it's going to be hard, or whatever. That may not be the case, but you have to actually find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and that's one of the things that we've learned, that once you're able to be clear and get what you want, you're going to be able to move so much quicker than when you have all that cloudiness in your head. And as a result, we were able to get him approved. He's now going to be able to shop. And one of the things
That's
that
awesome.
I get from this was one of his biggest concerns, and something that we literally were just talking about yesterday, is that he wasn't going to be approved for what he wanted. They had a goal of 650, but with doubts of them coming in at 550. After reviewing their full financial picture, we were able to get him approved for $900,000.
Dang. So 5.
Wait, hold on. Wait. You said they were trying to get approved for $650. They were originally only approved for $550.
No. They
Say it
had
again?
a goal of being approved for $650K. Like, if they got that, great. We're good.
All right.
But they were fearful that it was going to come in at
Oh,
$550K.
they thought it was going to come in at $550,
Yes.
And you know
and
what?
yours came in at what? $900,000?
$925 to be
And I
exact.
think all of this, Andy, because remember,
nuts.
if they've already been shopping with other lenders and stuff, they probably already had heard that. And that's, they
Sure.
have to have gotten that number from somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it had to have been somewhere where they probably didn't create that action plan for them and help them understand, And so, hey, so maybe if you guys did get married, had they come before us, maybe we would have been Cupid, right? But if you guys want to accelerate that and get married, and now we can use the combined income to qualify because it's VA,
That's
right?
what I loved about it.
So that's the beauty of it. Somebody that's going to pay attention, it's really going to guide them and point them in the best direction possible.
And that's the beautiful thing about it, that when they were talking to other lenders, they weren't married. So the other lender took it as like, okay, well, you guys are going to get married. Yeah,
course.
whenever you do, okay, like, well, whatever. Maybe not, but maybe that could be the case. What he told me after that, really stuck with me. And I'm going to share exactly what he said. He told me something that just completely shook me. And it was right along the lines of what we have been speaking about, like literally like pounding that message into the people we spoke about. He said, this approval wasn't just about buying a home. It opened up the door to start building generational wealth for him and his family. Wow. When he said that, and I was on the phone with him, I literally shook, and I got the goosebumps, because I'm like, that's exactly the purpose and reason why we do this. And at such a young age, has a clear picture, knows what he wants, and it's for his family. To start this young, I applaud you, man.
Yeah,
and I think that's
absolutely.
a great win. And I think that it's going to be just, great from here.
Time and time again, you guys tell me stories about someone who either is active duty or is a veteran or has like retired. I'm thinking like Lloyd, right? How many times has Lloyd come and told us at the office or even on camera when he was a guest once, like, I wish I would have started this sooner in my career. I wish I would have started this at my first duty station. And in this case, okay, they're here, right? So, he's separated already, but it's like separated from the military already. But it's like, well, this is the age that Lloyd's of the world was talking about. Yeah. If I were doing that back then, what would my life have looked like differently? Yeah. And you're sitting on top of an example right here.
And a lot of times, Andy, people, when they get into these situations, it is life-changing. It fuels you, like something like this is just going to fuel their and encourage them. It's going to inspire them. So they're getting all this fuel to just take them to that next stage of their life and the next journey. So here they are, they're doing it for their son, or daughter, their child, and now for their new relationship, it's like, hey, we're looking for stability, and how do we provide stability? We invest in ourselves. And by investing in themselves, now they're teaching their young one, like, hey, this is the things they're going to have to start doing as we get younger, right? Yeah. Not older, we start getting younger. I said for myself, it's like, we just have to be that role model and teach our young ones, like, there's a different way. Whereas when we grew up, that wasn't the way. Well,
we were taught, okay, you get a house, you raise your family there, and that's the place you kind of keep forever, right? But this is evidence of that same thing we talked about, this pivot with the younger generation that's looking at real estate with a whole different perspective. This reinforces the whole thing of why Gen Z is looking at it for, well, how can I get this one, keep it, hold it, cash flow it later? The whole approach is different. And things like this happening and people buying in this young in their adult life is another like log on the fire of that whole conversation.
Exactly.
We talked about it yesterday. I'm getting a little emotional. I don't want my kids to have to settle for something that they don't want to do.
Yeah.
And have to do it just because that's their only option. And I'd rather take the sacrifice now so that I could give them a world where they can build on their passions, things that they love, and things that really brings them joy. Yeah. I think that's literally the underlying purpose why everybody moves in this direction, because it's not just buying a house. It's building stability for your generations to come.
Absolutely.
And to close it off, I asked them, we went through this process. In your eyes, what do you feel was the solution that we provided you to help you move forward? Colin said, you gave us a same-day pre-approval, a clear step-by-step mortgage plan, and this allowed us to start shopping for a house a lot sooner than what we thought. He mentioned again that, other lenders were still going back and forth, unable to get them fully approved, always asking for different questions. But with us, the process was fast, clear, and efficient.
Yeah, that's awesome. I applaud you.
Man, that's awesome.
So, Colin, thank you so much for your trust. And, we're just very excited to be in this position to help guide you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't wait for them to get into this property. It's on top of everything else. He used an important word, which is legacy.
Yes.
In everything we do, we have to do with a purpose. Where before we were doing things, not understanding the purpose was, we have a home and we're going to do that. But there's a bigger vision with that. And you have to wear a different lens to get to that point. And so the fact of him just stating that this is legacy, to build legacy, little does he know that when he gets into a 2-car garage, we're going to take full advantage of the accessory dwelling unit. And we're going to teach them how to even create even more. We're going to go from one door to opening a second door, creating a little more financial freedom for them, and then on top of that, we're going to give them that different lens of, is there more lot that you're, the property that you're buying, is there a lot right there that you can even build something else? You can put something there that can generate more income for you. So everything is a lot more purposeful on how we're doing things and how we're navigating and guiding these people to look at this property in a different lens.
And that's the beautiful thing about it, that that environment that you surround yourself around is what helps you create those thoughts that I can do this. Like just being in that room with Andrew Greer, he was talking about the triple play at that moment, saying, hey, buy a single family house, convert the garage, and then get an ADU in the back. And Colin was being very receptive to all of this. He's like, hey, how do I start this? How can I leverage my VA loan, or how can I get into investing? He already had a clear picture, a clear idea. He just needed the right surroundings to be able to make it happen and have the actual plan.
Damn, that's how life is, bro. Listen, I keep saying it here. We have a saying in Spanish, dime con quién te juntas para decirte quién eres. I'm going to translate. Tell me who you hang out with so I can tell you who you are. I'm telling you. And I know Colin now that the bell rung. I know who Colin is now.
We had spoken about him before. Yeah.
I met him there. We were actually there at the same, mastermind group. But absolutely, we discussed this. What's funny is we have our podcast, Friends of Mortgage Heroes. Andy, I just talked to him this morning. He has a friend that went to Pepperdine. He got introduced to his own friend. Little did he know that his own friend has closed over $700 million in real estate.
Why weren't you telling us?
Well, because it just happened.
It was just yesterday.
Yeah.
But listen, was he born with 700 million?
No, actually, that is not the story. No.
We all start.
Yeah.
Right?
Everyone has their own origin story. And so yesterday when I'm talking with Daniel, I'm like, what do you mean you've purchased and flipped and sold and traded $700 properties.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane.
It's crazy.
And that was just, again, because of another connection with Jesse Wright from San Diego Real Producers, who Jesse does events out in town, who's friends with Andrew Greer. And it's like all of this, this stuff is symbiotic. And I think that when good things like this are happening in the market, you have stories like this. And there's going to be more stories like this. I think for me, as I'm listening to you tell this one, and I'm hearing the details and the ins and the outs, how common is it that a person goes somewhere and it's maybe not the answer that they are supposed to get, and they go somewhere else and they get it? That happens probably a lot more than we realize. And I'll say this often, we're on the receiving end of, hey, I need a second look. I know that happens a lot. Hey, guys, can you give me a second look?
Hey,
I get that, right?
We got heroes in our name for a reason.
There's that part. The other part is, I think that this is breeding a brand new, I think it's sentiment. I'm going to go with the word sentiment. Yeah. We talk about market sentiment, but let's talk about like buyer, actual consumer sentiment. I think this is breeding a brand new sentiment about real estate in San Diego. You make the argument all the time about San Diego being landlocked. We make the argument economically, San Diego's got the, 25% of the Navy is represented here. Yeah. So we have our market's a little backstop with VA-ness, if you will. Mm-hmm. And, I think that there's going to be a lot of other people that are like this who might see themselves in this story and need to go, okay, I need to get real about my situation. I need to check out my credit, look at my debt. How can I pay things down? What's my income look like? And actually start assembling their game plan, because now you're going up against a guy like this who did it. Yeah. And I'm playing both sides of the coin here, guys, because both sides are at play on the other side of the screen that someone's watching this. Yeah. On one hand, look, if you're afraid, you're uncertain, come, ask the question, give us the documentation, let's figure it out. Let's at least put on the table and look at what you can or you cannot do, tell you why. If you need a game plan to be successful, we can help you make one. Yeah. And if you already are in the arena, you're in with the guys like this, and then you're going to end up getting your shot at real estate too. And I'm excited for both that. Yeah, both sides of that.
And thank you for saying that. One of the biggest thing is we think one of the biggest roadblocks is my age. The age doesn't matter. And I'll tell you, right now we're representing John Paul. Yeah. He was born in 2005. I have a son that's born 2005, and I cannot see him trying to get qualified to go purchase a home. And he's active Marine right now. He's up in Camp Pendleton. Same thing, married, has a family, knew what he wanted. He said, I want to get out of military housing. I go, all my BH goes there. There's mold growing on the walls. They don't come and fix stuff. Things are freaking like outdated. He's like, this isn't the life I want to, give my kids. He made a sacrifice, got it pre-approved. They're going to live a little bit higher up in Lake Elsinore. That's okay. He's going to have a full backyard, a house, a living room, a kitchen, ample space to be able to have his kids run around, have the wife, do her things around the house. And I think that's the purpose of it, creating a home, not just buying a house, creating a place where you build that legacy, where you build those, memories, where you're growing up, you see your kids grow from, toddlers to now, teenagers to then, adults. Like, dude, that's the beauty of it. And I'm starting to realize that, it's not just buying a house saying, hey, I got it. It's where you're creating your family, where things are going to happen for the rest of your life. And I think if you look at it from that point of view, you're giving your family an opportunity. Absolutely. And, everything comes with sacrifice. You just mentioned he's a Marine. It's Camp Pendleton. It seems close, but there's still traffic. You're still making the sacrifice of making that commute. But that sacrifice is to create the stability of what your family needs. And one thing I know that we need in life is stability. Yeah. And it's like going from comfort to the stability. I think that's where a lot of us, have to bridge the gap, because it's okay to be comfortable at times, but when there's not, the options that you want in your life, it's time to get uncomfortable, and that's only going to lead you to, absolutely. Why invest in comfort by making somebody else money when you can make comfort for yourself and build, some type of legacy in retirement? You can be comfortable in your couch in your living room.
So I have one more question for you guys today. Like, who are the other Collins out there right now? Like, I know we're talking about Colin's situation, but like, okay, that's his own specific job, his own career trajectory from going in the military, then doing college after that. So who are the other people that kind of embody that avatar of the person that fits this profile of success?
So what I'm seeing is, dual income, like for sure, that definitely helps out a part. And it's going to be people that, have a stable income, anything above 100,000 that's going to get you in the playing round. Unfortunately, if you're down in, below that, it's going to be a little tougher. Not saying it's impossible, but you have better chances if you have dual income above, 6 figures, good credit, not crazy amounts of debts that you pay a month in your credit card. We only go based off the minimum payment. So make sure that your credit card debt, your personal loan debt is low when trying to get approved. Those are the people winning right now. Have an ample savings. They have enough for their down payment. They can cover the closing costs if they need to, but credits and seller incentives are out there, so that's something that they look forward to. But I think just being prepared and ready for the opportunity, those are the people winning. If you're just going in right now and saying, hey, let me just dip my toes in the water and see how this is at, you're probably not going to have the best time in getting approved, because you're looking at it more as like, let me see where I'm at, rather than I know where I need to be and I know where I need to go and I know what I need to do to get there. Those are the people that are winning right now, that have clarity, that are aligned with what they want, and they're moving with purpose.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the Collins are going to be between the ages of 20 and 10. I apologize. I make mistakes. I'm sorry, guys.
Let's go for it.
So sorry.
10-year-olds.
Yeah,
I should have been buying real estate.
We got 20 to 30, right?
Yeah.
I think those are a perfect fit for the Collins that just they don't understand what they don't understand, and the upbringing was a lot different than our upbringing, and so I feel like their upbringing is more like. Well, I remember my parents losing their home in 2008-9 in that crisis. So a lot of them come from that. And that's where a lot of the fear comes and the uncertainty and the doubt, right? The whole flood thing. So I just say from that, it's like, listen, go use your resources, explore those resources. There's so many resources out there, like us putting this content out there on YouTube and, other platforms, social platforms. There's so much social media out there. Everybody's talking about it. So Andy's saying that the new home buyer is changing. Absolutely is changing, because there's plenty of information that allows us to be different and become more adaptable to what's happening. Even despite these high interest rates, people are adapting by saying, hey, I need a co-borrow. I need another co-borrow. And they're figuring out, or I don't need a co-borrow. I know that I'm extending myself, but I'm going to rent a couple of rooms. Or you know what? I got a TSP that I know my G fund is not making much. Let me convert that garage in certain places into a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. I create value. I create rental income. And then I'm going to replenish those funds in 2 years.
Yep.
So the adaptability part of this, that's what's making these call-ins stronger, because they're asking the right questions. They're exploring the right opportunities, and they're hanging out with the right people. And that's what's going to get them to the level where most want to be, but it's going to get them a lot faster there.
100%.
Because they get to learn from our mistakes. They get to learn from everybody else that tried it, wasn't successful, but then they became successful. So not everybody has that freaking, that story that's just perfect.
Yeah.
We all have our turbulence, and we're going to continue to have those turbulence. And why do we continue having that? Because the market is shifting.
There's always something in the market that's a constant variables and inconstant variables, and there's always something that's changing. But I love that you're saying that, like, the imperfection of things is you can look at your own situation and go, oh, I see a lot of imperfections, but that doesn't mean that they are preventing you from being a homeowner. And I think that's like my main takeaway today is, like, you might feel a certain way about your situation sentiment wise. Your documentation, your credit score, your income, your tax record, that all might tell a different story than the way you feel about your story. And so don't get hung up on the feeling of how you feel about your story. What's the tail of the tape on paper, and where does that get you on your road?
I love the preventing, because it took me right away. What it came to mind is I'm preventing myself from being a homeowner.
Yeah.
Don't do that to yourself.
And keep in mind, a lot can change in 6 to 12 months. If you're aligned, you have purpose, and you're moving with intention, a lot of things could change and start happening for you. Yeah. You just have to really break it down, really look at it, for what it is, take all the sugar coating out and just say, what am I working with? Yeah. What do I need to do? How do I get there? And literally ask yourself these things. And you might not have the answer right away, but if you keep pounding those questions in your mind, the answers will start appearing.
And it's so simple, right? Like, understand credit utilization. We already know if you're below 30% of the high credit limit, that's a good start right there. So if you're overextending, because how many times do we run credit for people? And we're talking about credit for older people.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yo,
George, the credit line says 10,000. You owe 11,000. Now we know why your credit's so low. Credit utilization has to be below, at least start with 50, then work your way down to 40, 30 or less is where we really look at, right?
And one of the tips that I give you guys, like, honestly, if you're afraid to actually go and talk to a professional, or you don't know what questions to ask, turn on your ChatGPT, put on the voice memo version, and start talking to it like if you were asking a real estate professional, and ask it the silliest questions, the most simplest questions, see what it gives you back, and then start building on that to see if you can explore those options, get as detailed as possible. Take that information and go verify it with the professional, because now you'll have substance, you'll have something that you'll have direction of what you're asking, and then now you can get questions answered on things that you're clear or want to be clear about, and you just need a professional outlook.
Exactly. The number one cause of people not buying their homes is down payment. That's the highest one.
Yep.
Little do people know that there's a lot of first-time home buyer benefits, and you don't have to be a first-time home buyer either. You just have to align yourself with the right people to help you navigate through there. So if down payment's your thing, listen, look no more. Contact your local lender. Contact us, DM us, whatever. We'll point you in the right direction. Yeah. There's plenty of programs out there.
Yeah, good point.
And they're
very
so
good
easy.
Point.
So
yeah, thank you guys. This was a great topic again today. Like I'm really enjoying hearing these real life, I'll say like live fire front of line stories, because
boots on the ground.
Well, there's just so much out in this digital space right now, in social media and even on YouTube, where it's like, oh, price crash coming ahead, real estate marketing plummeting ahead, and it's like, all these different titles that just hook you into what could be happening or could happen, and very little about celebrating what is happening in the lives of a real person. Yeah. And, yes, we also talk about the macro side of real estate at large and certain trends. And I understand that's part of our job, is to know that. But for me, in this season of our own show, it's important that we share these same success stories too, because there's a lot of these. We had one last week. Yeah. We have one this week. We have way more than 2 escrows going on. There's a lot of these stories happening right now.
Here's the thing, Andy, too. There's a lot of traditional escrows, but we're also in the fix and flip. We're also in the ground up construction. We're also in the ADU game. Like, we're very diverse. We offer a lot of value because we're in the trenches going through these type of situations. So when we're seeing things as a traditional lending side, yes, we understand how to put our lens to that, but at the same time, we're bringing more value to the consumer, because we're giving them other ideas. Yeah. Not everybody's gonna be like have the appetite for that, because it's like, hey, I don't have it. But again, yesterday we met Brian Kuntz, who will help do a lot of the work.
Yeah.
So now we can connect people. So now not only are we lenders, but we're connectors. Yes. Our avatar is to connect people with the right people, I also want to bring out, earlier you said, the crash market and everything. Listen, it went up 1% nationally. We're currently at the highest purchase price value right now than we were last year by 1%.
Yep.
So I know when we hear this news, like house crashes and all this is not a nationwide thing. This is like a certain cities, counties in Florida. Not all of it. Florida is going through this. Texas, San Diego,
Las Vegas,
Nevada.
Exactly. Yeah. It's certain areas, and so just be mindful. Real estate, most people have made their wealth through real estate, and there's a reason for that.
Look, people need a place to live. Whether you own it or you're renting it, you're going to need a place to live.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, Brian. Great job. You did a great job leading us through this case study today. Thanks for always bringing your wisdom to the show. Thank you guys for this conversation. Do you have any final thoughts before we sign off?
I'm going to tease next week. I'll be doing one of first-time flippers.
Excellent.
First flip for the first time. They literally got their LLC done just for this transaction. They went the full 9. We went step by step on how to help them get the hard money loan, how to be able to finance all their repairs, and they only came in with 15%.
That's amazing.
First time,
First time flippers.
I'm glad that we're doing that, because it's like a lot of people think these things are like they're
unattainable.
It's out of the norm. It's just unattainable. That's a better word.
Yeah, I think there's a level of perceived sophistication that's required.
Yes.
And it's not that it's unsophisticated either. It's like, oh, well, that seems like a very sophisticated thing. I should. No, it's actually not maybe as hard as you think.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. There you
go. Good tease, bro.
I'll say it's not easy, but it's a lot more accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm tossing out the whole sophistication word because it's usually it's another barrier for introvert people. It just sounds sophisticated. But what is easy is not always simple, and what is simple is not always easy.
And it shouldn't be.
What I was going to say earlier, talking about environment is, your friend that's worked over 700 deals.
Yeah, Daniel.
That's his norm in life. Like, right?
That's his new.
Like he understands, like, that's like 100. It's like, okay, that's cool, but that's his norm in life. And I feel right now you should be attaching yourself to people that have higher standards than you, that are doing bigger things than you. Because if you're the lowest one in the group and you aspire to be like them, you're just in line, and you're gonna get a haircut if you keep hanging around in the barbershop.
Yeah, but. What? Why'd you say that?
I must have to, yeah.
I guess I got to go get in line at the barbershop, guys. Time to end the show on that one. Well, you guys, awesome. Thank you for a great show today. All of you who joined us for the first time, of course, make sure you like this video. Share this with somebody who is like a Colin in your life. If you've like listened to this story and you're like, oh my gosh, that sounds like my nephew, brother, sister, niece, parent, whatever, friend, coworker, like fill in the blank with whoever that person is in your life. Tell them to give us a call, give Brian Memo a shout, or send him an email, and let's see if we can get them on the pathway towards success in real estate.
Absolutely.
So thank you guys so much for a great show this week. And like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and we'll be back with another awesome episode next week, right, guys?
That's it.
Sounds good.
Hey, thank you all for your military, your service. We appreciate you. We really do.
All right. See y'all next week. Later.
See ya.